Hello, all you unsung athletes. Welcome to the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete, training every day, grinding without excuse, reward or not. I'm your host, Shannon Rose. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete. I'm your host, Shannon Rose, and I'm here with the one and only Angela Lewis, professional basketball player who was won at age 12. You have authored The Game-Changing Assist and Post Moves, focusing on helping athletes apply their strengths in life after competitive athletics. I know we'll get to that later. You are now focusing on a younger crowd with a new book coming out. I can't wait to hear about it. You have been recognized for your work in sports communications, having coached hundreds of athletes and leaders, continuing to lift up the many voices of the unsung athlete all around the world. It has been incredible to get to know you, and I'm so excited to hear more of your story. It is an honor to have you here.
Shannon, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited about this conversation today. We're going to have a lot of fun.
So let's get started. My first question to you is, what excites your heart these days?
What excites my heart these days is the new book that you hinted at. It's called A Ball and a Chance, Destiny's Colombian Adventure. So I'm writing a children's book about a little girl who's very tall. As you mentioned, I was 6'1" at 12 years old and have been that tall since. And so I didn't quite feel like I fit in. So the book is about her journey to finding the place and the spaces where she fit in.
Amazing. Having been a very tall girl early, and my girls having been tall early, not quite 6 foot, but it was just a different game growing up as a tall, big, athletic girl.
Yes, it's so different. You feel like you're looking around and you're like, I'm different than everyone else in terms of height and size, but I still need community and I still need friends. So what are the commonalities besides the physical that I can find with people to help me find my place?
Oh, I love that. And so your book gets into that,
It
which
does.
that's so exciting. I can't wait till that releases.
Thank you. Thank you. It's coming this fall. But I'll definitely keep you posted on that. So that really excites me.
So I know you've been a professional athlete, which I mean, not many can say. It's like a percentage of a percentage that make it to that point. Yet today, in this moment, do you consider yourself an athlete, and why?
Yes, I absolutely consider myself an athlete. It is when you're an athlete, when you train, when you're moving, you feel different. You feel better about all the things in life. It helps with you. And so now even I salsa dance, which I love. I love dancing before basketball. Like dancing came first. So I definitely still consider myself an athlete.
I love that. I love how you said it's about movement because being an athlete doesn't always have to be competitive. It's about igniting that movement in your body, perfecting your craft, whatever it might be. So,
Yes.
good point.
No, I was going to say I started training and I wanted to do the drills that I'd done while playing. And so I'm not training to compete. It's literally just to stay athletic. I just believe in being athletic. So fast twitch muscles, feeling confident that I can push and pull things. That's really important for long term, for longevity, not just for competing.
Yeah. My oldest daughter, she's 13, and she always tells me, I would rather just train forever and never compete. She loves the work. She loves the
Yeah.
day-to-day training and not necessarily the competitions. And I think that says a lot about that athlete mentality because, most of what you do as an athlete is train and
So
your
much.
day-to-day habits. It's not
Oh,
always about the competition.
no, when you think about, even if we look at basketball or any other sport for that matter, we would practice 2 and 3 hours per day, 5, 6 days a week, and then you play one game for 2 hours. And so training is what you do exponentially more than actually competing.
That's right.
I love that your daughter's falling in love with training. That's
With the
wonderful.
work,
Yeah.
But it made me think of that. It made so much sense. So we all started somewhere, back when we didn't even know we were athletes. Tell me your origin story. When did you first see yourself as an athlete? And what were those early years like for you?
I love this question because I think as a kid, we meaning my brothers and I, we didn't see ourselves as athletes. We just love to play. Kids just want to play, right? You play basketball, you play football in the street, you're just playing. And then it shifts when you start playing on a team and then you have to train. So I would say I didn't feel like I was an athlete or I didn't have an athlete identity until I started playing on an organized team and there were referees and we had to run plays and we had to do all of the training. So that wasn't until 12 years old, but I still wasn't a great athlete. Like I still wasn't very competitive or even a good basketball player. I was just a tall kid that someone wanted to be on their team. And over time, I learned the skills that make me feel more athletic to be able to compete at a higher level.
Isn't that true? I heard something recently. I can't remember where it was, but someone had posted a quote that said there are no elite youth athletes and everyone
None of
needs
them.
to get over it. And I was like, that is so true. Let's stop treating children like elite athletes. Let's teach them, like you said, the skills. Let's teach them the love of the sport. Let's teach them how to move their bodies. They haven't even, fully matured yet. So how can they maximize their abilities yet? So, and so many athletes that I've talked to who have played in, D1 schools or professionally, they say almost the exact same thing. There was a time in their athletic career when they were absolute trash. They
Pretty
were
much.
not good at what they did. And I think that's so important for everyone to remember. You don't
Yeah.
come in being this elite athlete.
No, it takes time, and that's anything in life. Everything takes time to grow, and you don't realize you're bad until you compete against people who are better, and you're like, "Oh wow, I just been playing in the backyard with my brothers. I didn't play with referees. I had never run that much, and it wasn't until my first team and I saw these girls who were super competitive and loved to win and worked really hard that I realized, oh, there's another level to this. And then after that, play on a more competitive team, like, oh, there's another level. And at that point, when you fall in love with it, it really changes the experience of playing for you.
When did you feel that flip where it was, oh, I'm going to play to, oh, I'm competing?
The big flip happened. There's a double flip that occurred. The first flip occurred when I was going into my eighth grade year, and the summer going into my eighth grade year, and I got my first recruiting letter from the University of Memphis.
At
And
eighth grade,
grade.
did you even know
Now,
what to do with it?
no, I couldn't do anything with it. They were asking for my GPA in high school. I didn't know. Shannon, what I know now that I did not know then, when I coached college basketball, we would send letters to any kid who was 6'1" in the seventh and eighth grade. Like all of them gets a piece of mail because you want to get on their radar early. The same with
Oh,
me. Every kid remembers that first letter. So any tall kid, you got to touch base with them. So I was definitely not D1 material in eighth grade by no means.
oh my God.
So that for me was like, oh, well, maybe I can play college ball. And at that time, early 90s, the WNBA had just started. And so we were starting to begin to see women on TV. So the first flip was the college letter. The second flip was changing teams and playing on a team in St. Louis. There were like three main girls basketball competitive teams. And one summer, we just agreed that like the best players on each team would get together and form this really competitive team. So going into like my sophomore year, I played on a different team, and that was another level because everyone ultimately played college ball.
So you self-formed this group that you wanted to keep building yourself with.
Yes, environment matters. Environment matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. I mean, we were all on the same path. And so our commitment to the game was very different than the first team that I started with. I'm grateful for that first team by all means.
Absolutely.
But at some point, when you make it clear about what you want, you decide what environments will help you get there.
Yeah. Well, I follow this brand called The Few or The Few
Mhm.
Will Hunt. I love that brand. By the way, no plug intended. Part of their credo is you are who you hunt with. And it's absolutely true. It's like you
That's
are who
good.
you hang out with, you are who you spend time with, and you're always going to have your family and your safety net. Yet, if you do, like you say, want to make those flips and go to that next level, you got to hang out with people who are operating at that next level. So,
Yes.
That's so huge.
It is. It is having people to push you and you push them. It transforms you.
It does. So you're a published author, focusing on helping adults apply their strengths as athletes to their professional journey or those who are migrating into the professional world. And you're now working on helping youth athletes navigate the challenges of being an athlete in today's landscape. I mean, youth, that's a broad range, but you're focusing on children. You're also focusing on kids who might be where you were, tall kids who are getting letters in eighth grade. How do they navigate this? How do they talk about themselves? You're helping them through all of those journeys, through your books and through your coaching. But I really want to focus on how did you first become inspired to author your first books? And how did you get to the point where you wanted to author kids?
In the same way, I never intended to play basketball. I never intended to write books. It wasn't like this lifelong dream to be an author. Not at all. I always understood from my mother the importance of speaking positivity into people and being encouraging. So my mom, like you are with your girls, is very affirming. And my mom was always encouraging me. And so my mom planted the seed years ago, you should write a book. And like most people, you're like, okay, ma, whatever. Why would anyone care what I have to say? Right? Yeah, ma, okay, yeah, I should write a book, sure, whatever. But I was an assistant basketball coach at Southeast Missouri State University. And they asked me to speak to a group of students who were on campus, not the basketball team, but I did that all the time with, of course, coaching, but it was another group of students who were on a college tour. They were in high school. And the night before the speech, I really just kind of prayed about what I was going to talk about. And God placed it on my heart. It's the 6V framework that I talk about now, but it's choose your vision, choose the voices that you listen to, which we discuss, choose the values that you have, choose your response to the valley. Victory is a response to your choices, and then choose to volunteer. So I gave that speech with that framework, Shannon. And then I just kept giving that speech to students for years. I gave
I
the
love
speech
it.
for years and they seemed to like it. And so I decided to put it in a book. So that's
Yeah.
how the Game Changing Assist six simple ways to choose success came about.
Yeah, and I love that that came from mom. Moms are awesome.
I'm
Not
grateful.
everyone's blessed to have a mom still here or, have a phenomenal mom, but I feel the same about mine. She just planted so many seeds that as I grew, it just kept going out of me. And it sounds like you had a similar experience, and what a blessing.
And there's a ripple effect. The
Yeah,
ripple effect, I mean, everything that I've done in terms of giving to others is because of my mother's heart. And so I'm really just immensely grateful for her and
yeah.
what she's given me. My dad is amazing too. Mom's just different.
Yes, we got to
Right.
give the props to
Right.
dads for sure.
Definitely, definitely. He made it possible for a lot of things to
That's
happen.
right.
But mom was the one to speaking life and speaking positivity and affirming. And so she was really the start of that, of me writing it. I showed her the children's book that I'm working on. And
Yeah.
yesterday, no, I talked to her this morning and she goes, so is the book finished yet? Ma, no, not yet.
A little bit more of a process, mom.
Yeah. I just told you the idea a month ago. It's not. Just give me some time. I want it to be done well and excellent.
I love that so much. The matriarch in the family, like there's just something special about that.
There is. There is. I'm really, really grateful for that. So mom was the reason to start it and then continue on.
How did you figure out that, okay, I'm talking, to schools, I'm spreading this like 6V framework, it's working. How did you then shift into writing this youth book? And like, is that story part, autobiographical, inspired by
Mhm.
you? Or tell me these connections and how that children's book came to be.
Oh, thank you for asking. Okay, I'll dive deeper. Thank you. I
Yes,
haven't gone
please.
this deep before on the book. I was at an event or conference for work back in 2011, and I saw someone else's book. I said, you know what? I can write a book. I already have a framework. I was already given the speech. I already had positive feedback. And I said, well, just let me try to put it together. And so it took like a year and a half. I wrote it and then chopped it up and didn't like it and then rewrote sections and ended up publishing it and having a book signing at the Boys and Girls Club where I grew up playing. And so it was really special. But that book came from just being inspired by someone else and knowing
Yeah.
that I already had pieces of what could make it happen. Then I talked to everybody I knew who published a book. It's just like being on a team or finding coaches. How do you do it? What resources did you use? And so many people were gracious with their time, and I'm forever grateful to them who helped me through that process.
That's awesome. Well, again, I can't wait to read it and buy it for my kids.
Thank you.
So, beyond inspiring the world and our next generation, how do you keep yourself going as an athlete today? How do you keep driving your life forward, keep developing in that athletic mentality day to day, knowing that there's no major award or recognition waiting for you at the end of this?
At this point, it's so different now. What I think about is long term. I
Mm.
think about, okay, when I'm 80, what do I want to be able to do physically? And as crazy as it sounds, Shannon, I slow down and evaluate more. Okay, what's aching? Okay, I need to work on that. Let me a few months to work on this foot to be really clear about where I am and really honest about where I am. I think when you're younger as an athlete, the mindset is you just push and push and push and push and never stop pushing because you recover so fast. So you can push harder. And so now I'm very conscious of how hard to push, what needs to be worked on because I think the trophy, Shannon, is if we're blessed to make it to 80 or 90, to be able to walk independently, to be able to pick up things, get up if we fall, drive a car, like mobility and strength are the end goals.
Yeah,
So
they're not small things. So for you, what keeps you going is that end game. Think
yes,
about it. The work I do now is going to impact me in my 60s, my 80s.
yes.
And
Having
so I got to start banking that now and keeping up with
Yes,
it.
trying
Yeah.
to have a strong foundation and core. And I have my parents are in their 80s, so I look at them and say, okay, when I'm 80, how do I want to be able to move about this world?
Right. And I love the idea that, and I feel very similarly. I listen to my body a lot more, not to stop and not
Hmm.
for excuses, but for information.
Yes, yes,
Like you
because it's
said,
always telling us what it needs.
you're saying like, my hips tight or whatever, I need to slow down, or I need to
Hmm.
work on stretching that out, or I need to, bring more movement to that, or that hip needs a break, but got all these other parts of my body I could be working on.
Exactly. There's always something that can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, I'm a believer in active recovery. I'm not a
lay
sit and
just
recover
lay down.
person.
Hmm.
So, as athletes, we've all had setbacks and sometimes situations that have more than set us back. Have really flipped the switch for us or made us question ourselves as athletes. Tell me your comeback story. How did you return to being an athlete after a major setback?
One of the most challenging setbacks for me was a good friend passed away. I was director of basketball operations at Marquette University, and my friend Jackie passed, and she had an undetectable heart defect. And up until that point, I was pretty active. And when Jackie passed while working out, I really had this moment where I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. So why even work out? I gained a bunch of weight. I was like, if you could just die working out, then why work out? Like working out is supposed to help you. I had this whole thought process, and I probably needed therapy then, which I didn't know then, but I was definitely needed some help working through that. And so I stopped coaching college basketball. I moved back to St. Louis, started working with kids. But I was away from the game that I loved and the movement that had brought me so much joy for a few years after Jackie passed. And I came back and then someone said, "Hey, can you work with my daughter?" And then I got back on the court. "Hey, can we're doing this basketball camp. Can you come and, talk to the kids?" And so I gradually found my way back to the game and back to movement and back to the love of it, but in a different way. So having that really made me shift from feeling like an athlete and thinking like an athlete to really kind of being lost after that moment.
Yeah. Did you do any movement or athletics during that time? Or did you completely just reject that part of you?
Minimal. I was still, like with the basketball team, doing basketball related things, but I wasn't at all interested in doing anything on the court or much movement at all. No, no, I was just
Wow.
eating and drinking. Like it wasn't happy hours. No, it was not a good time by any means.
That's what a flip for you. Again, from being an elite athlete, from then working at a very well-known institution,
Hmm.
coaching athletes, to then just like, what's the point?
Point.
So it sounds like you found your way back by people inviting you
Yeah,
back.
Shannon, when I tell you basketball found me, and it continue, I cannot get away from this game. People in my life will tell you, like friends and family, oh, I thought you said you weren't going to coach anymore. I thought you said you
Yeah.
want. I just cannot get away from the game. I
Yeah.
love it. It always finds me and it has my heart in the biggest way. And I'm so grateful that I keep getting called to the calling.
Yeah. I plus, you talked about your God winks and things like that. I
Yes.
really do think, God, the universe finds ways to just be like, oh, you're getting a little too far. Let's pull you
Come
back in.
on. If you
Come on,
forgot what you're supposed to be doing, let me help you out. Come over here.
for a little bit, but it's time to come back.
Yes, it's wild. It's I'm grateful.
Good. And like you say, you found your way back in a different way. And like, how beautiful is that? Maybe in a different and one way that aligned even more.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So, who is maybe one or two people in your life that have helped inspire you to become the athlete you are today?
One or two. Lord.
Think about you having, those flips that you went through, and you think about those people who were just part of those pivotal moments, who are those people and what did they do to inspire you?
I'm going to give one group of people for one, if that's okay. My
You
brothers.
do you.
Okay, there's more than one, but they are a collective. So we'll count them as one. My brothers are the ones who were incredibly affirming. They're 6'5", but I have another brother who really introduced, he's older, all of us to the game and really loved basketball so much that his love for the game was infectious. And we would all play in the backyard. So my brothers were so affirming and they gave me the confidence. If I could compete against them and other guys, then I would always feel good about myself. So my brothers, for sure, they were there every step of the way. And then I would say my coaches. So I've had
Yeah.
some great coaches who poured into me and challenged me and pushed me beyond what I thought was possible and really got the best out of me. So brothers and coaches helped me become the athlete I am today. And all of them still live very active lifestyles. And so I think that's important too, Shannon, especially as we get older, being an athlete, still having a community of active people makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that you mentioned your brothers. It's so true. They instilled play. They instilled this curiosity about movement that eventually just kept turning into something more. And coaches were the ones who helped then mature that
Yes.
initial spark. That's so cool. All right. So when people think of Angela Lewis, what do you want them to think, say, and feel? What do you want your legacy to be?
When people think Angela Lewis, I want them to say that she was loving, she was giving, that she she was here to help and she gave in from the purest place of her heart.
Yeah, I love that. Giving from the purest place of your heart. So whatever that authentic give is, you just want them to be able to know and feel
Yeah, and feel
that.
the warmth. I'm a big hugger, so like
Me
just
too.
want people to feel loved.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now for our final question. I can't believe we're already to it. Whatever is top of mind for you, what is one thing you would say to inspire young athletes in today's world?
I would say give yourself grace to get better. And who you are as an athlete is not a direct reflection of your worth and value as a person. So you're going to have bad games. That's normal. You're going to miss shots. That's normal. You're going to miss plays. That's normal. But you are still a valuable person, even when things go wrong, because you can figure out how to get better from it. So give yourself grace when you mess up and focus on just getting better. You'll be fine.
Amazing. Absolutely. I love that. Give yourself grace, just like we talked about. What a callback to the beginning of, there are no elite youth athletes. Get over it. Like, be part of the process, enjoy it. And I think one of your V's is valley. I assume that
Yes,
means the failures.
there will be valleys and they will keep coming. You will go up the mountain and come back down and back up and back. It's part of the
That's
process.
right. Acknowledge, recognize, give grace, and keep showing up to the work. Is there anything else that you want to poke at, prod at, or talk about today?
One of the things that you and I talked about a little bit on our intro call is just about girls and girls
Yeah.
feeling as if they fit. And where do you find your space as a girl or a woman in sport, and how important that is to feel powerful. So I think that's really key to highlight, especially at this time when people really care about women's sports, right? Women's sports are being lifted up and there's money invested now more than ever. And so it's a very exciting time. And I hope more young women stay in the games and in the sports now, because they can see that our culture now really values women athletes in ways that we didn't always in the past.
That's right. I love that. So not just, I mean, competitively, like go for it if you can and you have the opportunity in these, D1 environments in professional sports now. Also, as lifelong athletes, find movement and sports you love that you can do forever. Show up to the weight room and just do the work forever, whatever it is. But yeah,
Exactly.
you're absolutely right. They're elevating and lifting up young girls wrestling. I think
Yes.
that is amazing.
That definitely did not exist when we were coming through. So
It
it's
did
just
not. No,
fascinating to see that there's so many more, so many more opportunities out here for young women
that's right.
and women who work in sports. So that's huge as well.
That's right. Well, I mean, think of yourself. You're coaching and mentoring and authoring, being an example to all of these young athletes going, "Oh, there's a woman who looks like me who is doing just that. And now I know I can too." It's pretty powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Angela, it's been a pleasure. And thank you for being here and showing us all the true heart of an unsung athlete.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for joining us on the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete. I'm your host, Shannon Rose. Keep grinding without excuse.